has pleaded not guilty to multiple charges, including sex trafficking, and has denied all civil allegations against him. Now, sources say Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, will be a central witness during the trial. Now, sources also tell CNN other witnesses expected to testify include his former sexual partners, a business associate, and a male sex worker.
For Gen Z, courtroom drama has always been something you binge watch, not something locked behind marble walls. Yet this week, in a hushed federal chamber where cameras are banned and whispers echo louder than gavel strikes, Sean Diddy Combs is fighting for his life. He's staring down a RICO-style indictment, racketeering, ex-trafficking, conspiracy, even transportation for prostitution. Charges so heavy they could translate to life behind bars. But before a single witness utters a word, the spectacle has already begun. Nearly 600 prospective jurors, yes, almost an army, filled out questionnaires that name-dropped Kanye West, Michael B. Jordan, and Kid Cudi, as if the Grammys were casting a sequel. At the defense table sits a rap mogul once considered untouchable. Across the aisle, an all-woman prosecution team that has spent more than a year threading every needle of evidence. The judge has just rejected claims that Combs was singled out for his race, and the last-ditch plea deal he turned down on May 1st now looks like a high-stakes gamble. Outside, headlines scream about leaked surveillance videos, rumored freak-off parties, and an ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, ready to testify under her real name despite a looming smear campaign. Inside, Diddy's lawyers plot to paint that relationship as mutually violent, hoping one skeptical juror will tilt the scale. No live stream will bring you these moments, so pull up a chair. Over the next few minutes, we'll slip past the metal detectors, unpack the sealed evidence, and watch a music icon's empire hang in the balance. Because when an untouchable finally gets touched by the law, every detail hits like bass in a club at 2 a.m. Sean Combs isn't just battling a bad headline, he's staring down a 5-count federal indictment that reads like the heaviest chapter of the RICO handbook. Prosecutors allege he used his music empire as a front for an illicit network. Sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation for prostitution are all on the docket. If even one major count sticks, the guideline range balloons to decades behind bars, effectively life for a 55-year-old mogul. The government says the scheme spanned years in states with chartered jets, luxury hotels, and freak-off parties where coercion was camouflaged as nightlife glam. Key evidence: a 2016 surveillance clip that allegedly shows Combs assaulting then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, plus footage prosecutors claim was shot at those parties. His team calls the videos misleading montages, insisting consensual encounters were edited into something sinister. But the uncut originals, CNN maintains, are intact. Combs had one last escape hatch. A plea offer floated in late April. On May 1st, 2025, he told Judge Aaron Subramanian he'd roll the dice on a jury instead. That single decision yanked away the chance of a capped sentence and set the stage for an all-or-nothing showdown. High-profile defense attorneys Mark Agnifilo and Brian Steele now lead the counterattack, hinting they'll frame relationships as mutually violent and paint accusers as fame-hungry partners in party. But prosecutors have spent more than a year lining up corroborating witnesses and digital receipts. An all-woman trial team knows this case could make or break their careers, so the stakes could not be clearer. If 12 jurors buy the government's narrative, Combs' legacy ends in a jumpsuit. If just one sees reasonable doubt, the empire walks. The first showdown never involved evidence. It involved people. Roughly 600 New Yorkers received a 28-page questionnaire probing everything from their Spotify playlists to their opinions on sex crime statutes. That massive pool is now being whittled to 12 jurors and 6 alternates. A process so sprawling, one reporter joked it felt less like voir dire and more like casting Coachella. Why the overkill? Because prosecutors warned the judge that dozens of celebrity names could surface once testimony begins. So the form literally asked if would-be jurors knew or had strong feelings about Kanye West, Michael B. Jordan, Mike Myers, Kid Cudi, and more. When the clerk read that list in open court, Judge Aaron Subramanian chuckled that they might be booking the next Grammy lineup. Screens still mattered. Several prospects were bounced after admitting they'd watched the leaked 2016 hotel hallway video that allegedly shows Combs assaulting Cassie Ventura, making impartiality impossible. Complicating matters further, federal rules forbid cameras in the courtroom, No live stream, no daily TikTok recaps. Only sketch artists and reporters' notebook scribbles. That blackout has jurors under extra pressure. Their verdict will be the sole public eyewitness to this case. After 2 marathon days, the judge delayed final strikes until Monday, May 12th, minutes before opening statements, leaving both sides one weekend to analyze every remaining questionnaire and pray for sympathetic faces. If Combs once seemed invincible, the team trying to dismantle that myth could not look more focused. 8 federal prosecutors, 7 of them women, sit shoulder to shoulder behind the government's table, led by Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Comey. Yes, former FBI Director James Comey's daughter. Comey helped convict Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. Now she's betting her resume on hip-hop's biggest reckoning. Inside sources say the group has spent more than a year building a no loose threads case, pre-interviewing witnesses multiple times, and cataloging every hard drive seized in that March raid on Combs' homes. Their evidence headliners? A 2016 hotel hallway assault video, digital files from alleged freak-off parties, and travel logs they claim show a coast-to-coast trafficking network. But even a well-wired case has weak points. And right now it's victim 3. In a Friday status conference, Comey told Judge Aaron Subramanian they've been unable to reach the woman, an accuser whose testimony was labeled explosive in the sealed indictment. Defense attorney Teni Garagos immediately pounced, demanding an answer on her whereabouts by May 9th. If the witness stays missing, one entire count could wobble. The pressure is so intense that tempers have already flared. Earlier this week, the judge openly scolded a senior defense advisor for referring to prosecutors as a six-pack of white women, a quip that instantly backfired and underscored the gender dynamics stalking this trial. Still, the government's theory is simple. Show the jury a pattern of coercion, put a credible survivor, Cassie Ventura, on the stand early, and let the digital receipts do the rest. If victim 3 reemerges, she's expected to connect those receipts to a wider circle of abuse. If she doesn't, the defense will hammer that gap like a loose floorboard. Step into Diddy's war room, and you'll find a table stacked with legal star power. Mark Agnifilo, the Manhattan attorney who once won acquittals for pharma bro Martin Shkreli, now shares lead duties with Brian Steele, fresh off the young thug RICO fight, plus strategist Teni Garagos, daughter of heavyweight Mark Garagos. Their opening salvo? Flip the narrative and argue that the relationship with Cassie Ventura was mutually violent, casting Combs as a victim of domestic abuse just as much as a perpetrator. That framing sets up 3 pillars of defense: consent and context. They'll tell jurors the infamous 2016 hallway video lacks context, claiming it captures the worst 20 seconds of a turbulent romance while omitting moments that allegedly show Ventura lashing out first. They insist longer, unedited footage will reveal mutual aggression, not one-sided assault. Credibility attacks. Expect a forensic sifting of each accuser's resume. NDA payouts, record label negotiations, social media sponsorships, anything that hints at financial motive. Steele has already won permission to probe jurors' attitudes towards sex, drugs, and violence in celebrity culture, hoping to find skeptics in the box. Reasonable doubt by chaos. With victim 3 suddenly unreachable, a revelation prosecutors conceded on May 9th, the defense smells opportunity. If that witness never appears, one sex trafficking count could crumble, and jurors may wonder what else in the indictment might evaporate under scrutiny. Underlying it all is a subtler play. Argue selective enforcement. Agnifilo floated the idea that prosecutors targeted a black billionaire to make headlines, though Judge Subramanian has already rebuked that angle once from the bench. Even so, the suggestion lingers, an invitation for any juror uneasy with perceived double standards. The strategy is classic defense jujitsu. Concede some wrongdoing, muddy the timeline, and beg one person to say, "I'm not sure." If that seed takes root, the entire RICO scaffold could tilt. But the government's ace is a woman who says she lived the nightmare in real time, and she's willing to put her real name on the record. Cassie Ventura hasn't released a chart topper in years, yet she's about to command the biggest stage of her life. 4 days before opening statements, photographers caught her in Manhattan, pregnant, clutching her phone, walking straight past tabloid cameras as if rehearsing for the jury box. She'll take that seat under her real name, not behind a curtain, despite knowing every detail of her story will ricochet across social media within minutes. Prosecutors call Ventura their star witness. Her testimony threads the entire timeline. The whirlwind romance at Bad Boy Records, the first signs of control, the alleged hotel hallway assault in 2016, and the night she claims a car exploded outside Kid Cudi's house after she fled to him for safety. Defense lawyers will hammer at her motives, royalties, NDAs, $1 million settlement, but they can't erase the video or her willingness to speak without anonymity. Backing her are 3 Jane Does: Victim 1, Victim 2, and the now infamous Victim 3, whose sudden radio silence has everyone whispering about subpoenas and safe houses. If Victim 3 never appears, one trafficking count could wobble. Yet the government says the remaining 2 accusers will map the same pattern: drugs, coercion, and nights filmed without consent. Then there's the male sex worker. He's expected to describe freak-offs from the inside. Expensive suites turned into studio-lit sets where guests allegedly performed for Diddy's camera. Defense counsel insists those parties were consensual, claiming Ventura and another girlfriend invited him in, but prosecutors have the raw footage and plan to show it privately to jurors, arguing it proves coercion, not collaboration. Altogether, the witness list reads like a fragmented mixtape: 4 direct accusers, a supporting cast of former bodyguards, pilots, and digital forensics agents. Each voice adds a layer to the RICO puzzle. And if Cassie opens the show, her story sets the key: either a decades-long pattern of exploitation, or, as the defense will try to spin it, complicated love gone toxic. Prosecutors call them freak-offs. Picture penthouse suites stripped of furniture, lights swapped for nightclub rigs, and tables lined with baby oil bottles. More than 1,000 of them were seized when agents raided Combs' homes last year. According to the indictment, guests, often aspiring singers, models, or hired sex workers, were flown in on chartered jets, kept awake on designer stimulants, and pressured to perform for Combs' camera in sessions that stretched for days. One witness says he was offered 4 drips between takes to keep going. The defense insists every moment was consensual. So consensual, they claim, that the raw footage proves Mr. Combs' innocence. Their motion to show select clips publicly was denied. Jurors will instead view the uncut files behind closed doors. Prosecutors argue those same videos reveal manipulation: women wincing as Combs barks directions, a male sex worker handed cash off camera, and repeated scenes where participants appear too dazed to object. Then there's the clip everyone has already seen: the 30-second hotel hallway assault from 2016. Forbes first reported Judge Subramanian's ruling. The tape is fair game at trial, despite defense claims it's edited for shock value. CBS News later confirmed jurors will view the full version, frame by frame, alongside Combs' own video apology recorded after it leaked. Taken together, the government says the freak-off reels and the hallway strike form a single narrative: a superstar who turned intimacy into choreography and control. The defense counters that they show a complicated love life, not a criminal enterprise. Which story sticks could hinge on how jurors react to those silent images playing in a darkened room. Strip away the salacious headlines, and one truth remains: this trial is bigger than Sean Combs. For the first time, a titan of hip-hop is facing the same scrutiny that toppled Harvey Weinstein in film and Jeffrey Epstein across high society finance. Prosecutors claim Combs turned bad boys glam into cover for a 2-decade enterprise, while defense lawyers portray a consensual sex life gone messy. Whichever story prevails, the verdict will echo far beyond one man. Why now? Legal scholars point to New York's Adult Survivors Act, a post-ER Me Too window that temporarily revived expired claims and emboldened dozens of Combs accusers to file lawsuits in 2023 through 2024. The very testimonies that later fed this criminal indictment. Music lawyers once relied on ironclad NDAs to keep backstage behavior sealed. That firewall cracked when state legislatures began voiding agreements that silenced assault allegations. Industry shockwaves. Executives at 2 major labels quietly told Spectrum News they're revamping tour staff contracts to require no coercion clauses, fearing a cascade of lawsuits if jurors deliver a guilty verdict. Streaming platforms brace for backlash. Spotify yanked R. Kelly from editorial playlists in 2018. Insiders whisper that a Diddy conviction could trigger a wider purge of catalogs linked to proven abusers. Meanwhile, artists who once called Combs a mentor are scrambling to rewrite their public statements. One prominent producer told Reuters off record that half the industry still runs on the same party circuit, admitting they're now reviewing personal security policies and drug protocols for after-parties. Cultural reckoning. Hip-hop has long wrestled with misogyny critiques, but this case lands in a post-Weinstein climate where jurors, especially Gen Z, consume true crime exposés by the playlist. As an NPR analyst put it, the trial tests whether celebrity glamour still shields VIPs from the consequences regular people face. If prosecutors secure a conviction, watchdogs predict an avalanche of civil filings against other power brokers who once felt untouchable. Timeline pressure. Opening statements hit May 12th. Judge Subramanian has penciled 8 weeks, meaning a verdict could arrive mid-July, right as festival season peaks. Tour managers are already updating crisis comms decks in case performers get asked why they ever collaborated with Combs. So the stage is set for more than a trial. It's a referendum on how far Star Me Too has progressed in music, whether NDAs still muzzle the vulnerable, and how long fans will separate the art from the artist when the courtroom soundtrack grows deafening. On Monday, May 12th, the final jury will file in, prosecutors will deliver their opening salvo, and a music icon's fate will leave the realm of rumor for the cold logic of evidence. Judge Aaron Subramanian has blocked out 8 weeks for testimony, which means the verdict could land in mid-July, right as festival season hits its peak. The panel will weigh 5 felony counts that together threaten life in prison. They have already heard hints of missing evidence, most notably Victim 3, the sudden no-show whose disappearance could shave away one trafficking charge but may just as easily harden jurors' suspicions. They will watch the 2016 hallway assault video in full, behind closed doors, and then see clips from the so-called freak-offs. Prosecutors say those reels prove a pattern of coercion. The defense calls them consensual and context-free. Either way, silent images often speak louder than 1,000 pages of sworn statements. Beyond the courtroom, the stakes ripple outward. Labels drafting new no-coercion clauses, streaming platforms eyeing catalog removals, and other power brokers bracing for copycat lawsuits. Maureen Comey's team wants to make this the hip-hop equivalent of Weinstein. Mark Agnifilo and Brian Steele need just one juror to say, "I'm not sure." So as the opening arguments begin, remember, every gasp-worthy headline, celebrity name drops, missing witnesses, leaked videos, is merely the prelude. The real story unfolds in that marble room where no cameras roll, and where, for the first time, Sean Combs' legacy is entirely out of his hands. Stick with us. We'll cut through the blackout, break down each witness bombshell, and bring you the verdict the moment those 12 New Yorkers make history.